Friends, I am exhausted. I'm shooting this Sunday night. We got to get some editing going on. We shot a bunch of video. We shot a bunch of pictures that we're going to be putting in here as we go through this. But I want you to catch a bit of what's going on at the Asbury Revival 2023 here. Wednesday morning, they had chapel and spoke with some of the on-campus pastor briefly, and some of the communications faculty on staff there, just who have been trying to understand and assist what's going on here at the chapel. But Wednesday morning, they had chapel to talk about radical humility. This following of Christ is about laying ourselves down and not about pointing the spotlight on ourselves. And we saw that consistently. We got there Saturday night, about 8 p.m., and we were worried that maybe they would be winding down. Were we wrong. They were just ramping up at 8 p.m. The doors were packed. As we came in the foyer, we could not get past the foyer. We were in the very back of the foyer, and slowly over the next hour, we moved forward into the foyer. The balconies were packed. Fire marshal was probably not pleased with the images that are coming out of there. The entire floor was just packed. All the standing room taken up. All the seats taken up except some of the seats in the front, which had been reserved for students alone. And just the preaching of the word happening. They're sharing the word of God and just listening to a sermon that you would hear at your church, a sermon that we would hear at most solid evangelical churches out there. Nothing new, nothing fancy. Consecrate yourselves. Consecrate yourselves for this movement of God, for what God is about to do in your midst. Surrender your life to Christ. And they preached. They had communion. They had dozens of students with bread and juice going out. By the time the crumbs were assembled up in the front of the sanctuary, it was just piles of bread left over because they had taken so many loaves of bread out into the audience, into the congregation that had gathered. There were people that couldn't get into the foyer and seemed to be turning around and leaving. It was crazy, but well ordered. There was organization everywhere. They were praying that the people in the foyer would feel included in the service, even those who couldn't see. I couldn't see much of it, of what was going on at that time, until we were able to get up into the balcony. After communion, some people started to trickle out around 9 o'clock in the evening, and we were able to kind of get up into the balcony in the very back, and we got up there and started, hanging around as they went into a time of invitations. And they didn't twist people's arms. It was just invitation after invitation for salvation, for rededication of your life, for coming forward for healing, for forgiveness, and for special prayer, and just inviting people forward. And just the front was just mobbed with just hundreds and hundreds of people being prayed over individually and in groups. They had counselors up in the front who were, they having to make sure that you knew who was like supposed to be counseling, who was supposed to be. It was like a Billy Graham crusade, except jammed into this little building. It looked small, but I mean, honestly, it's a really big building. Through all of that, it's just this spirit of unity, this spirit of peace. Even though it was crazy, everyone was kind and patient, and there's this air of expectation. What is happening here? What is going on? As you come in through the door, first you ask yourself the question, is there something weird going on here? I've heard things, and I'm now here, and I'm kind of wondering if it's true. And everything you hear and you see, you're like, this is just normal stuff. This is nothing spectacular. I've been to worship services. There's people dancing and waving their hands. I mean, young people, they do that kind of stuff at rock concerts. They do that at Christian rock concerts, right? It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Worship to God. But I've seen these things before. I've seen all the trappings before. And if you're looking for something spectacular, some lights, there's no PowerPoint up front, there's no videos, nothing. In this age of TikTok, there's nothing up front. Just people. People seeking the face of God. And just days after this dancing with the devil at the Oscars, the Lord starts pouring out His Spirit amongst students who are eagerly seeking Him, who say, we want more of God and we won't leave because we want more of Him and we need Him. We desperately need Him. That's what we just saw. The people who have been there the longest weren't wondering anymore. They knew that they had found something there. Not in a place, not in a person. The speakers changed. The musicians changed, everything changed except for this one thing. They kept pointing to Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. They kept saying there's nothing special up here. There's no dust, magic dust. There's no words. There's just Jesus. All we have up here is Jesus. I've seen this spirit of revival. I've seen this unity of spirit in my church. Hopefully you've been blessed to see it too. But it's not always, there's moments. And so often the moments are fleeting, right? The moment comes, everyone kind of enjoys it, and then it's like, okay, we're going to dismiss now, right? And there isn't this lingering in the presence of God. There isn't this desperation for more of God. And in this place at Asbury University in Kentucky, there was that desperation, and this just... so many people saying, we won't leave. We won't leave. The Mount of Transfiguration, right? Peter's like, hey, let's build some tabernacles up here so we can stay up here. Let's build some houses because this is good. To see you glorified, to see Moses, and to see the glory of God shining everywhere, let's not leave. And Jesus is like, time to go. Let's go. Because our mission here on earth is not done. But Paul and Peter had that same thought. It's like, let's just stay. Let's just stay. And I think there's a moment for that. But just seeing things twisting there at Asbury already, it's we want to dwell. But Saturday evening, I was wondering what they would do Sunday morning. And Saturday evening they said, students, tomorrow morning, go to church. Take this to your churches. Don't stay here. Take it out to the churches. Take this revival out. And already starting to just realize that this needs to go out. This pulling in, this tarrying in the presence of God needs to impact the world all around. The beauty of the unity, the beauty of all that was happening. So very exciting. For someone like me and our team here, it energized us with the purpose. We got a whole bunch of stuff to plan for. In 2 weeks, we're going to be going to Kenya. I'm going to be helping train pastors. I'm actually going to be trained. I'm going to be in training to train pastors. And so I got some meetings here. We got some curriculum that we're working on. And it's just all about how to simplify the Bible study so that it can be translated and it can be understood by pastors who don't have formal education. A lot of these pastors only have third grade education. But you know what they have? They have faith and they have Jesus and they have the power of God in their midst. And it's going to be so exciting to see what God does through them. He's already at work. He's already at work. Many of these men heard the gospel and then took the gospel back to their village. And when they shared the gospel with their village, people got saved. And they said, you're the pastor. What do you do when you have a third grade education, you can barely read, and you're supposed to be teaching the Word of God? You're supposed to be teaching people how to be Christians. You need someone to come alongside you to disciple you. You need pastors to come alongside you, come behind you to help you in your ministry. And that's what this ministry 21C is all about, is discipleship of pastors. And so I'm so excited to kind of, in some small way right now, be a part and potentially, as we go forward, be a larger part of that ministry. The revival at Asbury, if it says anything to us, is, do we need God? Think about a personal retreat, a personal time of prayer where you set aside more time or an extended period of time, and then you just stay in His presence and say, Lord, here am I. And lay yourself down before Him to hear His voice. I already shared a little bit about that in the previous video about what the Spirit of Asbury is all about. The Spirit of Jesus is all about. It's all about empowering us and taking over our lives when we've surrendered ourselves to Jesus. And you can do that there. You can do that everywhere you go. And then this movement of God turns into power through you to change the people around you, to change the world around you, and for Jesus to get all of the glory. It was such a blessed, sweet time in Asbury. I wish every single one of you could have been there. If you have the opportunity to go and visit, it is a beautiful, wondrous experience. If you find some more videos online, absolutely eat them up. They're recording testimonies of students there. I don't know how much those they're going to start rolling out. We have a few videos that we're going to be, we got to talk to one of the student leaders of this and some of the staff and faculty. We got some of those on video, and we're going to be sharing with those, leaking some of those with you. No, we obviously have their permission. They got mic'd up and got in front of the camera to kind of share what God's doing there, and just their heart to be sensitive to what God is doing, to not force anything. That faculty was just so concerned about not letting anyone from the outside come in and force anything, but also for the faculty not to be forcing anything, but to create a safe space for the students to have that encounter with God, to be gently guided, by the pastor, the on-campus pastor, Pastor Greg, as well as the church, the faculty there at the Christian school, and to make sure that they weren't being manipulated, weren't being pushed, and just mega respects to their. I went to Cedarville University, which is a Christian school up in Ohio, and I heard that the pastor and that the president of Cedarville, a day or 2 days before we were there, had come up to the front to pray, and when they spoke with some of the faculty, they shared who they are and that they're praying for the students of Asbury and the revival there. Just hearing other leaders coming in from the outside. So just a wondrous thing. People joining in, feeling it, and being challenged in their walk and hearing the gospel and hearing the call to surrender all for the Lord that surrendered everything to save us. All right, friends, hopefully this was tremendously encouraging to you, and hopefully it spurs some choices, some re-evaluation of what truly matters in your life. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to post up this morning's video here that is a call to that surrender. If you haven't watched it, you might want to watch it. If you've already watched it, watch it again. Watch it again. This is what I gathered. This is what God told me to say. This is what you need to hear. God bless you all. Have a great day.